The NIL ask for Carson Beck to return to Georgia is $4 million. And I just wanted to get Joel Klatt's reaction to where we are in the NIL world of just keeping your quarterback at Georgia.
Oh man, I think that if I was a collective, I would be having these kids sign multiple year contracts with non-competes and exclusivity, and that's the real world. That's what they would have to deal with in the future, rather than these like every year deals. And you know what? In some ways, I would do with Carson Beck what I would hope to do with a coach who's holding me over the coals. When Jimbo Fisher comes in and it's like, well, LSU wants to hire me, I'd be like, go Tigers. Like, good luck, Carson. Don't play for us. At some point, these programs in particular, and a team like Georgia could do this more so than others, obviously. But you've got to look yourself, in the mirror, if you will, and say, like, are we going to allow this kid to hold us hostage, or are we going to be okay? And in some respect, this was the same conversation. I don't know about the dollar figures, but that Kyle McCord had with Ohio State. And maybe you have to credit Ryan Day for saying, like, hey, listen, that's not going to happen. If you want to be here, we want to have you, and you're going to compete for a job, and this is what it is. And if you don't want that, then go to Syracuse. And if I'm Kirby, that's kind of how I would look at it. Now, the problem is that I don't think that the structure of the sport is right now in a place where you can build and secure a roster that would allow you as a program to have leverage, right? So they've had transfers behind Carson Beck. Now all of a sudden there's questions about Raiola and where he's going to commit on Wednesday. And so all of a sudden a kid like Carson Beck feels like he's got the leverage. And I think that that's a problem. So it's a bigger question than just Beck and Georgia. A lot of this has to do with the calendar. A lot of this has to do with roster construction, and ways that we can look at fixing that so that programs can be built, and coaches and collectives in some ways, have the ability to operate without being held essentially hostage by a player. And how does this, by the way, and I don't begrudge anybody a big contract. I really don't. But how does this sit with like a Georgia fan base? It's like, really? But maybe that's too simplistic of me. I don't want to, I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, to me, and again, I'm not a football mind, but to me, the most NFL defense that Georgia faced all year was the Alabama defense in that SEC championship game. Did Carson Beck increase his NFL stock, or did he decrease his NFL stock, or did it stay the same? He played pretty good, but I don't think he dominated what he's going to face at the next level. This whole talk of him going to the NFL this year, I know there's a market for him, but I don't know where I am on Carson Beck right now, because that's a pretty much of a cupcake schedule until you get to Alabama.
With this class of player in the NFL draft at that position, I would be shocked if he was selected before the fourth round.
Right.
Of the NFL draft, because of the class, because a lot of it has to do with the year. That's not a knock. I mean, Carson's a really good player, and but he should be in college, and he should stay there. And guess what? He should play for Georgia. I mean, that's the way that I feel.